The envelope was cream-colored, heavy, and smug, the kind of paper that thinks it's better than you. It arrived on a Wednesday. No holiday. No celebration. Just a plain, normal morning, until that letter landed in my mailbox like a lit fuse disguised in linen cardstock. I'd just finished trimming the hedges. My hands still smelled like sap and sweat. I stood barefoot on the porch, coffee in hand, wearing my old USMC hoodie and flannel pajama pants when I saw it. Notice of non-compliance. Bold, all caps, centered. I cracked the seal with one thumb. Dear Mr. Langdon, it began. During our weekly community compliance inspection, it was noted that the American flag displayed on your front lawn is not in accordance with Bylaw 4.2a, Exterior Decorative Display Guidelines. Flagpoles must be approved structures and may not exceed 6 feet in height or feature non-standard bases. Failure to correct this violation within 72 hours will result in a $50 fine per day and potential escalation to enforcement action. I read it 3 times. Then I looked at the flag. There it was, 12 feet tall, solid aluminum poles sunk 3 feet into concrete, waving proud in the early morning breeze. The stars, the stripes, every fold of that fabric catching sunlight like it was saluting back. The pole? Installed 3 years ago when I moved in. Approved. Documented. Passed with flying colors, pun absolutely intended. And now? Now it was a problem. Because there was a new sheriff in town. Her name was Karen Holbrook, freshly elected HOA president, self-anointed enforcer of neighborhood harmony, and a woman who once filed a complaint because someone's Halloween pumpkin had a menacing expression. I sighed, set the letter down, and picked up my phone. Before I could even hit record, she was already walking up the sidewalk. Khakis. Pastel blouse. Clipboard under one arm like it was a sidearm. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Mr. Langdon, she said, her voice coated in faux cheer. I assume you've received the notice. I have. Well, she continued, as I'm sure you understand, we're just trying to maintain a uniform aesthetic across the neighborhood. The flagpole, as impressive as it is, stands out. It disrupts the visual cohesion of the block. I took a sip of coffee. Karen, that's the American flag. Disrupting visual cohesion? What exactly do you want it to blend in with? The beige siding? She blinked. Twice. It's not the flag itself. It's the height, the base, the patriotism? She didn't answer. Just tapped her pen against the clipboard. This isn't personal. We've updated the bylaws. You'll find a digital copy on the HOA portal. I don't use the portal. We emailed the link last month. I don't read HOA emails. Because I like my blood pressure where it is. Her smile sharpened. You have 72 hours, Mr. Langdon. After that, we'll be forced to proceed with enforcement. And just like that, she turned and walked away. But here's the thing Karen didn't know. I'm not just some cranky veteran with a porch and a pole. I'm a retired Marine. 3rd generation. My grandfather raised that same flag on Iwo Jima. My father flew it in Vietnam. I carried it into Kandahar. That flag is more than cloth and thread. It's memory. Blood. Sacrifice. Legacy. And this was the line. The moment where a piece of paper tried to erase history. And I wasn't about to let that happen. Not in my yard. Not on my watch. You know that moment in a war movie where the camera zooms in, the music drops out, and the character slowly realizes, this is no longer a drill? Yeah. That was Thursday night. The 3rd night since Karen handed me the HOA warning and told me I had 72 hours to comply. Spoiler, I didn't. Instead, I did something worse. I reinforced the base of the flagpole. Cement. Steel brackets. Anchored it like it was guarding the Constitution itself. And then I floodlit it. Bought 2 motion-activated solar lights off Amazon, and aimed them up so the flag would glow against the sky every night like a lighthouse of defiance. Let me tell you something about retired Marines. We don't start fights. but we finished them. Especially the ones wrapped in red, white, and blue. That night, around 11:38 p.m., I caught it. Movement on the ring cam. I pulled it up on my phone and there she was, Karen. Creeping through my lawn like a pastel ghost. Holding a tape measure and a flashlight. She squatted next to the pole, unspooled a flimsy yellow tape, and started measuring from the base up. And then she pulled out a phone and started recording. Her voice, barely above a whisper. Non-compliant flag structure. Confirmed. Excessive elevation. Disruptive lighting. Will recommend removal via escalation. That was it. She wasn't enforcing bylaws. She was building a case. And I knew what was coming next. I checked the HOA bylaws. Deep in the fine print, something called Provisional Clause 9.6b. If a resident fails to comply after 3 consecutive violation notices, the HOA may execute corrective action in the interest of community standards, pending board consensus. Translation? They were going to take it down. The next morning, I walked outside and found the second notice pinned to my door, this time in a neon orange envelope, like it was a parking ticket from hell. Final warning, removal notice pending. They even included a little diagram showing my flagpole surrounded by red X's like it was a crime scene. But it was the handwritten note at the bottom that hit me. We understand you value your service. But please remember this is a neighborhood, not a military base. Karen Holbrook, HOA President. I read it once. Then again. Then a third time. Then I walked to the garage and started planning. Friday. Day 3. I put out the call. Veterans I served with. Local Marine buddies. A few of them still sharp as razors. Some retired, some still active. All pissed. All proud. By sundown, 3 trucks rolled up. Flags mounted. Stickers on bumpers that told you everything you needed to know. A couple guys brought folding chairs and a cooler. One guy brought a Bluetooth speaker and played Johnny Cash like it was our national anthem. We sat. Watched. Waited. Karen never showed that night. But I saw her blinds twitch. The next morning, she retaliated. Not with a conversation. Not even a warning. No. She sent in the compliance crew. 4 guys in khakis and HOA vests with reflective tape. 2 of them carried what looked like bolt cutters. 1 had a clipboard. 1 had a ladder. They came marching across the street like they were storming Omaha Beach. I was already on the porch. Boots on. Hoodie on. Arms crossed. Behind me? 4 Marines and a folding table full of black coffee, powdered donuts, and the collective stare of men who've seen some things. The leader of the crew stepped forward. We're here to execute Article 9.6b corrective enforcement, he said, reading off the clipboard like it was a magic spell that would make us vanish. You touched that pole, I said, and we're going to have a real compliance issue. He hesitated. Looked behind him. One of my guys, Brett, stood up and stretched his back like a grizzly bear getting ready to swat a beehive. Is there a problem? Clipboard guy asked, a little less confident now. Yeah, I said, stepping down from the porch. You're standing on federal code. He blinked. What? The Freedom to Display the American Flag Act of 2005, I said. Look it up. It's illegal for any HOA to restrict the display of the American flag on residential property. That pole is protected. That flag is protected. And if you cut it down, you'll be violating a federal statute. I paused. Let that hang in the air. You want to explain that to a judge? Or a journalist? Clipboard guy stared at me. Then one of the Marines tossed him a laminated printout, the law, in full. I had 50 copies made the night before. Take one for Karen, I said. Tell her this isn't her call anymore. They didn't say a word. Just backed off, climbed into their HOA Prius, and drove off like they just tried to evict a national monument. But I knew this wasn't over. Karen didn't just want to win. She wanted control. And when you deny someone like her the power to rewrite your reality? They come back with fire. Saturday night. 2:14 a.m. Motion alert. I woke to the buzz on my phone, half asleep, half adrenaline, and rolled out of bed like I was back in the barracks, not a quiet cul-de-sac where the worst crime used to be recycling on the wrong day. I tapped the Ring app. And there she was. Karen. In leggings. Windbreaker. Flashlight clutched like a dagger. Clipboard? Still in hand. Next to her? 2 HOA board members in reflective vests, faces half covered by neck gaiters. One was holding a rope. The other had a bolt cutter. They weren't just here to measure anymore. They were here to remove. The screen showed them circling the flagpole, whispering. Karen gestured. The guy with the bolt cutter stepped forward. That's when the spotlight snapped on, 600 lumens of righteous fury lighting up the whole yard like it was noon in Vegas. Karen jumped back, shielded her eyes. The bolt cutter guy nearly tripped over my garden hose. The third one, clipboard guy, bolted across the lawn like he'd seen a ghost. Me? I walked out in a bathrobe and boots. Coffee mug in one hand. Baseball bat in the other. Evening, I said. Didn't expect visitors. Karen froze. I took a step forward, slowly, letting the robe flutter just enough to show the Semper Fi tattoo on my chest. What is this, some HOA ninja strike team? I asked. What's next, air support? She straightened, trying to salvage the moment. We were conducting an after-hours compliance check. Given your continued non-compliance, the board voted to enact Clause 10.2 for emergency corrective access. Emergency? I looked at the guy holding the bolt cutters. What was the emergency? Flagpole fatigue? Karen narrowed her eyes. You're escalating this. No, I said, voice flat. You trespassed. With tools. At 2 a.m. I held up my phone and tapped the screen. Say cheese. She blinked. 4 cameras. 3 angles. Full audio. You just documented your own felony, attempted property damage, criminal trespass, and conspiracy. And I've got the footage backed up to the cloud. She opened her mouth to speak, but I cut her off. Oh, and before you say anything about bylaws? The law doesn't stop at your clipboard, Karen. You want to argue in court that your HOA supersedes the First Amendment? For the first time, she actually looked nervous. The bolt cutter guy lowered his arms. Clipboard guy whispered, We should go. Karen glared at him. Cowards. No, I said. They're smart. You just walked into something bigger than yard decor. She turned, stormed off the lawn, but not before tossing one final grenade over her shoulder. This isn't over, Mr. Langdon. I will protect this community. The 3 of them fled across the street and disappeared into the shadows, leaving tire tracks on my lawn and a growing storm in my chest. This wasn't about the flag anymore. This was personal. And she had just made a critical mistake. Because she'd pushed hard enough to make me open the box. Let me explain. I keep a box in my garage. A steel case with locks, codes, and 25 years of things I swore I'd never need again. Papers. Documents. Old credentials. Photos that never made it to any family album. And in that box? My DD-214. My military discharge papers. Next to that? A certificate. Issued by the Department of Defense. It authorized me, as a Marine Corps Staff Sergeant, to represent the fallen at state and local ceremonies. Meaning I had legal authorization to display the American flag, at full staff, in any residential area as part of my veteran status, so long as it was maintained and respected. That's not just some feel-good token. That's federal protection. And guess what Karen just tried to destroy? Exactly. The next morning, I walked into town. To the local courthouse. Handed over the video footage, the trespassing timestamp, the copy of the HOA's own bylaws, and the federal documentation I had stored for over a decade. The clerk's face said it all. This is going to be a problem for them. Good, I said. It should be. I wasn't looking for revenge. I was looking for consequences. Because this wasn't about a flag. It was about the kind of fight that doesn't end in court. It ends in truth. And Karen? She just stepped into a world where her rules don't apply. The clip was only 27 seconds long. But that was all it took. The grainy night vision. Karen crouched like a raccoon in pearls, whispering orders, bolt cutters gleaming under the porch light. Then the floodlight flares. My voice, calm, steady, authoritative. You're trespassing. That flag is federally protected. And I've got the paperwork to prove it. Boom. Uploaded. I didn't even add a caption. Just dropped it on a vet's Facebook group and walked away. By noon the next day, it had over 1.2 million views. By dinner? Fox, CNN, and a satirical TikTok duo called Patriots in Pajamas were dissecting every frame. The hashtags were glorious. Hashtag Flaggate. Hashtag HOA Havoc. Hashtag Karen vs. Marine. Hashtag Clipboard of Shame. Hashtag Semper Bi. My phone? Exploded. Emails. Calls. DMs from strangers. Other vets. Lawyers. Even a former Navy SEAL named Chad who offered to patrol the block shirtless with an eagle if needed. But the best message came from Colonel Hines. Retired. Real deal. He wrote, Son, I don't know who this Karen is, but I'd like to thank her personally for reminding the country what Marines are made of. That flag isn't decoration. It's memory. Let us know if she pushes again. We'll bring a convo. By that evening, the HOA's own email server crashed. Apparently, Karen's inbox filled up with over 3,000 compliance concerns, everything from people submitting photos of their own flags to prank submissions like violation of excessive bay usage. And then, the news crews showed up. Sunday, 10:03 a.m. A white van with Channel 8 News on the side parked on the corner. A woman in a blue blazer stepped out, heels clicking against the sidewalk. Microphone in hand. Cameraman behind her. And before Karen could activate her emergency community reputation control protocol, they were at my porch. Mr. Langdon, the reporter said, we're covering the incident involving your HOA and the attempted removal of your flagpole. Mind if we ask a few questions? I nodded. Then I handed her the folder. The Federal Protection Doc. The footage. The citations. Even Karen's handwritten note about how this isn't a military base. She read it on camera. Then looked up at me. And what would you like the public to know? I turned to face the camera. Straightened my hoodie. Spoke like I was addressing a formation. I served this country so people could hang Christmas lights, plant sunflowers, and fly whatever damn flag they believe in. I didn't do it so someone with a clipboard and a superiority complex could erase that freedom one violation at a time. This flag, my flag, isn't going anywhere. She blinked. Cut to commercial. The fallout? Immediate. On Monday, the HOA board held an emergency Zoom meeting. Karen tried to keep it closed. But someone leaked the link. And over 6,000 people watched her try to explain, in real time, why she thought it was legal to conduct an after-hours corrective action involving bolt cutters and a two-man HOA strike team. Her face? Legendary. Sweaty. Glossy. Fake smile barely holding on as the board chair, who'd been silent for years, finally snapped. Karen, did you really say non-standard base about a U.S. flagpole in front of a decorated Marine's home? Karen stuttered. Blamed. Unclear bylaws. Said something about optics and community presentation standards. Then she tried to pivot. Said I was intimidating. That I'd weaponized my service. That I was harboring anti-HOA sentiment. I wish you could have seen the comments. Karen, just admit you lost. I'd trust this guy with my house keys and a bald eagle. You got clapped by the Constitution. Sit down. And my favorite. Someone get her a folding chair, she just got marined. The next morning, I stepped outside and found something on my lawn. A box. Wrapped in camo paper, duct tape bow. Inside? A brand new, chrome-plated flagpole topper, shaped like an eagle, wings spread wide, and a note. For Mr. Langdon. Because you didn't back down. From all of us who've flown a flag on foreign soil, thank you. Keep it flying. Signed, the VFW Chapter 41, and about 24 names I didn't even recognize. Karen? Went dark. No calls. No clipboard. No driveway patrols. Rumor is she's stepping back from day-to-day HOA operations. Which is code for, she got publicly spanked and now hides behind beige curtains. But I'm not done. Because this isn't just about one flag. It's about every overreaching HOA rule. Every neighbor who's been pushed, fined, humiliated for daring to be different. And with Karen in retreat? I had one final move to make. It started with a joke. Dude, you should run for HOA president. That's what Brett said as he tossed me a beer and we sat on the porch, watching the American flag ripple under a golden sunset, the same one Karen tried to cut down 2 weeks ago. I laughed. But he didn't. I'm serious, he said. You've got the respect. The law on your side. The internet loves you. Hell, the neighborhood loves you. What do they have? A crumbling binder and a clipboard with delusions of grandeur. He had a point. After Flaggate, Karen's grip on the community had cracked wide open. Neighbors who once whispered their HOA frustrations were now openly organizing, group chats, petitions, memes. Even the quiet guy from the cul-de-sac who only ever emerged to water his cactus muttered, "You got my vote." So I did it. I ran. Not for revenge. Not for power. But for the people who just want to hang a damn bird feeder without a permit. The election wasn't a fair fight. Karen tried. Oh, she tried. She printed flyers. Held a community harmony night. Only 4 people came, and one was her dog. She even created a smear campaign accusing me of harboring anti-landscaping views and flag-based intimidation. I responded with 2 things. A platform called Freedom to Mow, Freedom to Fly. A live stream town hall titled Red, White, and Repealed, Fixing the Broken Bylaws. The town hall went viral. I laid out every ridiculous infraction Karen had enforced over the years. Wind chime decibel limits. Pumpkin symmetry ordinances. The infamous 1 flamingo per yard rule. And of course, flag height regulation 4.2a, which I ripped in half on camera. The chat was flooded with comments. This is the HOA president we deserve. Make HOAs great again. Brett for sergeant at arms. Can we get him elected nationally? Election day came. I stood under that flagpole, my flagpole, shaking hands, answering questions, even helping an elderly neighbor lift her groceries. No campaigning. Just listening. That's what they wanted. Karen? She showed up last minute. Tried to pass out cookies shaped like bylaws. Someone said, "We prefer brownies with freedom." Votes were counted on folding tables by volunteers and lawn chairs. And when it was over, I won. Landslide. 83% of the vote. Karen? 7%. And 10% went to a write-in campaign for Gregory the Gnome. Yeah, someone nominated a ceramic lawn gnome, and it still beat her. My first act as president? I stood on my porch, held up a new document, and declared, effective immediately, Article 4.2a is repealed. Flagpoles of reasonable size and maintenance are hereby fully protected, with no restriction on height, base, or lighting. And no veteran, past or present, will ever be fined for flying the American flag again. The crowd roared. Someone played the national anthem on a Bluetooth speaker. A kid from 2 blocks over saluted with an ice cream cone. And Karen? She was inside, peeking through her blinds, watching her HOA kingdom be rebuilt without her. I'd say I felt bad. But I didn't. Because this neighborhood didn't need a tyrant in pearls. It needed a leader who knew the value of sacrifice, service, and liberty on your front lawn. It's been 6 months now. The new board? Diverse, reasonable, hilarious. We host BBQs instead of secret meetings. The new community motto? No fines, no fear, just neighbors. The flag's still there. 12 feet high. Lit every night. And just last week, a retired Navy vet down the street raised his own flagpole. Karen didn't say a word. Because she knows better now. And so does every HOA president who watched this story unfold. This isn't about one pole. One man. One war. It's about standing up when someone tries to bury the very thing you fought for. And that's something no clipboard can ever take away.